What have I been telling you guys? What have I been telling you guys about this collaboration? Yes, and I want to make this very clear before I get to all this, which is going to kind of repeat itself. What is TNA at this moment? What did I say to you more than a year ago about this collaboration? Now, I'm sure people are going to say, dude, you're looking too much into it. Dude, you're not listening. TNA is getting really good progression. This is wonderful stuff. Really? Really? Let's get into the show. I will tell you we have 5 matches, and they were all generally good, except there was a little bit of a botchiness about one match, but majority of the matches were good. Opening match. Miles Bourne versus Lexis King in a lights out match. The 4th one in history of the company and the 3rd one that was done in NXT. It was fine. The question is going to be right now, you got Bourne winning, but what does that really mean? And yes, you did use a little bit of Ethan Page to kind of build into it. Fine with that. That's okay. But what does this mean? It could go a couple of ways. One, when we go to No Mercy and you see what happens, and I will go there now, when you got Ethan Page talking to Wonder, that's from supposedly was supposed to be from AAA. That is a Latin American champion who wasn't him. It was Tavion Heights faking being him to do a match because Ethan Page acted stupid, thinking that trying to build a Tavion Heights by using a AAA wrestler's persona. Most people say, dude, that's not right. And others will say, oh, it's perfectly fine. I'm in the middle of the camp. I'm saying, well, there's nothing wrong with doing it, but it's not something you should do often. So using Warner, I believe that's his name. I can't remember his name. But the Latin American champion's mask and just dressing normally, jumps into a ring while they're all not ready for wrestling because Ethan Page wasn't ready for wrestling, and neither was Warner, a.k.a. Tavion Heights. And due to the facts of what happened in World's End, and I'm like this. The thing here is, where are you going to go with Tavion Heights? Where are you going to go with Evan Bourne, Miles Bourne? Where are you going to go with those two? The only thing I could see is that Tavion may win the North American Championship, and you're going to see Miles turn on Tavion, and then they're going to have the feud that way. That would be the only thing that would make any sense here. Because Miles has already had his shot. He's not going to win. Unless you are going to have Miles try to get the North American Championship from an Ethan Page, which would be easier and better. But if you actually want to do development between Tavion and Miles, the only option, and I'm not saying one of the greatest, is to have them go up against each other. One of the two turns heel, and it looks like it might be Miles because of the way he acting and because of the attitude he's gained from being around Ethan Page briefly. That's what I think. Next, the 3rd match, because we just did Ethan Page and the Warner, which was Miles Bourne, Tavion Heights. You have the match that was the most sloppy. Now, I know I'm not going in order because I want to get this one over with first. Actually, no. Let me go in order. Candice LeRae versus, what is the woman's name? Raid? Laney? Ray? Did I care about Raid? No. The Pixie I didn't care about either. Candice LeRae. I didn't care about either one of them. And it's not because I don't like them. Either one of them could be good if they're booked correctly. And Candice LeRae has not been booked ever very good. And then this Ray, with a D silent. I don't really care about either because even though she's shown a couple of times, I don't watch Speed, so I'm not familiar with her. And I don't watch Evolve, where she might have been there too. I don't know her. And when it comes to Candice, her booking hasn't been that great either unless she was in the way with Indy Hartwell and her husband. And there was some work that was at least given some development. Since then, she hasn't really done much other than working with Nia Jax for a little while, and then they dropped that. So I didn't care about either one of these women. Now, they are going to make Rey the number one contender against Saruka's title. Fine. Okay. Do I care about the Speed title? No. I don't care about the Speed title at all. It's only just been introduced to NXT, and they really haven't done any character development of the person who's currently holding it, other than her maybe going up against Saruka eventually for one of her titles. That's just me. Let's move on to the third match, which was a bit botchy, but it did have a nicely interesting ending. And that is Grace versus Grace. Ariana Grace versus Jordynne Grace. And it was due to the fact about a quick talk in the back. I don't even need to cover it because Ariana, the way she was, I think is not necessary because she's just being used to be able to build up the feud between Jordynne Grace and a little Blake Monroe. The match was a bit botchy, and that was from Ariana Grace. She was a bit botchy. At one point, she's supposed to run at Jordynne and just knock her down with an elbow to the back of the head, but it was just tripping almost over her. It felt sloppy. Of course, Jordynne destroyed her, but here's the thing. Once Blake came out with kendo stick and a trash cannon, Jordynne went and got a steel chair, and they used it against each other. I think I'll put a shot in my face if I'm going to put any shots at all. Let me give it to you like this. Am I interested in a feud? It's not a bad feud. It's okay. But now, you're doing a weapons match in a steel cage at No Mercy. Does this make me more interested in both of them? I don't know. There's something missing in this equation. I wasn't sure what it was until I figured it out. No stakes. There's the problem. When you look at Jordynne Grace, she should have already been a champion. She's been developed enough that she could have won the title that Stephanie Vaquer won when she was there and was a double champion. She didn't need to be double champion. They just gave it to her because of AAA. It's one of the reasons why she's current champion now. I'm sorry. If you guys don't like what I'm saying, I can't help you. But Stephanie Vaquer's only reason she's champion is not because she's one of the best wrestlers, and she's a good wrestler. But she has no character development, no matter how many times you card out her dad. And that's not meant to be disrespectful to her. That just shows you how bad the booking is for Stephanie Vaquer, because that's all she has. The reason she's champ is because of AAA. That's it. The first Latin American WWE champion, which I'm not saying is bad, but it makes perfect sense why they're doing it. So it don't matter. Jordynne should have been a champion already, and she should have been holding this title, and that would have made more sense when it came to Blake Monroe. And that's what's missing. A stake. Some type of stakes needed for these women, because just pounding each other is not enough, because both of them have got history. Of course, one in TNA, one in AEW. They needed more, and they don't got it. Am I completely disinterested? No, but it still needs something extra, and there isn't anything. Moving on. The fourth match, which I'm like, do I care about this? Connor and Dixon versus Dark State with, of course, Joe Henry included in Connor and Dixon. I don't know what's this situation. If Dark State was confined to keep attacking TNA, I think they would have a better use for them there. But we're not getting that now. They're back on NXT majority of the time. Now they're tag champs. Got 2 members of them. And I'm not feeling anything from them because they didn't book them correctly. They feel like a bite off again of the Shield and the Nexus. And on top of it, the person that's the most interesting there is Cutler. It's not Suge. It's not Osiris, and it's definitely not Lennox. It's not. No matter how mean and angry he gets, he feels empty. They got no character development for them. So I don't care. And then once you go to... Look, I actually liked Chase University when it was at its height. But now you destroyed and got rid of it and brought it back for these two guys who are not really doing any development. The only thing they're doing is making sure Andre Chase gets his ass whooped and gets in trouble most of the time. They don't listen to him. And yes, you did bring in some NASCAR guys, which one of them was Joe Henry. But then it still feels empty. Now, final match. And let me give you this. Did I really, really like the two segments I felt the most important? Jada Parker's segment and Ricky Saint's segment. The vid packs for them. Which one did I like better? Honestly, Ricky Saint's. Now, there's nothing wrong with showing your history, your culture, whatever you've been. Lola Vice had that, and yes, I could just leave this out, but I will at least say this. The segment between Lola and JC, seeing the back fist was wise. It was fine. It was okay. But the one that had the most strength behind it was pretty much Miss Parker and Ricky Saints. The one I liked the best was Ricky. Now, of course, that's what Lola Vice did. There's no difference. But there's a difference between Lola Vice and Ricky Saints. Lola's only been in the business for a short amount of time. Ricky, I've known since NWA. And there's the difference. A much more developed person doing that type of vid pack compared to the other. Yes, Lola's like this. She's sexy. She has a nice body. She has a good history. Former MMA fighter. Father was a martial artist. Still is. But we're talking about someone who's only been in the business for a couple of years compared to someone who's been in it for more than a decade. And you can feel the difference. The way he talks, the way he carries himself. Yeah, Lola can shake her ass and talk all right. But compared to Ricky, she's just better. And that also goes with a little bit of Miss Parker, who did very well in her video pack. And I'm not saying she wasn't. She did very well in a vid pack, making it clear that, well, who is the one I care the most about? Is it Miss Parker or is it Miss Bougie Bully? It's the Bougie Bully. Because she developed herself enough working by herself, working with Metaphor, working with Trick Williams at one point. She has been developed the best between the three women. That is a little Lola Vice, a little bit of Miss Jada Parker, and herself. She's been the most developed. Is she perfect? Hell no. But she seems to be the best developed. The second is Miss Parker. That's just the truth, and that's the reason why the vid packs, if you compare the vid packs between Lola to a little bit of Jada Parker looks very good compared to Lola. But Ricky Saints is the best. Now, I have not seen a vid pack from Miss Bougie Bully yet. We haven't seen one of her yet. So the big question is, can she talk as well as Miss Parker? Or is she going to be not much different than Lola Vice? Because if she's similar to Lola Vice, Miss Parker is going to be the best one who talks the best. Finally, the match. What a cop-out. I know you're going to say, dude, come on. It's still a great story. I'm not telling you it was 100% bad. But let's make it very clear. Title versus title. The one who wins goes to No Mercy. I was not fond of this. I felt this didn't need to happen. But they decided to go through with this. They decided to do this. And we get a good match between Trick and Uber Femi. Who did we get that was from TNA? Because they were already going to mentioning it. We got Moose. We got a lot of people there. We got Eric Young, Moose, Kaz. We got Santana, who was on commentary. You went and got Wentz. Zachary Wentz. He was there. Matt Cardona, everyone went crazy for the former Zack Ryder, and I don't blame him because he has not been back there for quite a long time. And people were going ape shit over him. At least what few that saw him. What do we get? We got Victoria Crossford. We got Jessie. We got Steph DeLanda. We got Ling Yang Lee. We got Zaya Brookside. I believe we got Heather by Elegance. They were all there to watch the match to see who is going to win, TNA or NXT. Or should I say, NXT versus NXT. Let's make it very clear, and I'm not even against Trick. I knew Trick could pull this off and make it all the way to Bound for Glory. I said he would, if they allowed him to do it, he would make it to Slammiversary. He did, and it was one of the best shows they've had in years, next to the biggest crowd they had. But now he's going to go to Bound for Glory. He's going. He will probably go up against Santana again at Bound for Glory. And he'll do a great job to it. But we are still talking about NXT versus NXT, Ubafemi versus Trick. And the thing is, if they're going to make TNA mean something, that they were willing to invest in TNA to become bigger than it is. Because remember, TNA, this is WWE, well, Silver Lake WWE, this is TNA. It wouldn't hurt them if they came up here. If they really want to make TNA mean something to go and become a competitor to AEW, it would make some sense. They come up here. This is what AEW is. This is what TNA is. See? It would have made sense to give them a little bit more. No. They didn't go there. They decided to do a cop-out. You got Santana out there. Who is the issue between him and Trick? Trick goes to his face. And who smacks who? Who smacks who? Trick to Santana. Now you're going to say, well, that's what Trick would do. He would do whatever he could to save his title. Yes. But did you need to do the match at all? Let's make it very clear. Did this help TNA? No. Now, there was a fight afterward, and all of TNA was fighting all of NXT, and it was a good smudge of chaos. I'm not lying about that. And then you get a little bit of Ricky Saints coming out, going after the NXT title, looking at it, holds it, then Ubaf grabs it, and now you're setting up for No Mercy. But does this really help TNA going into Bound for Glory? Really, think about it for a minute. Unless you're going to have matches that's going to be a mix of TNA wrestlers and NXT wrestlers, which they could do. They could do it. And they probably will. Maybe a couple of matches will be with TNA, and a couple of matches will be for NXT versus TNA. I do believe they're going to do that. But let's make this very clear. And I'm being honest here. TNA needed more from WWE. All they've been doing is working with the lowest hanging fruit from WWE. No matter what you want to say, no matter how you want to say it, TNA will never get anything big from WWE. Yes, you got a chance with Joe Henry at one of their most signature pay-per-views against Randy Orton. But did Randy Orton go down to TNA? No. Is AJ Styles having a match at TNA? No. He went to Slammiversary. That doesn't mean he's having a match there. Have they decided to make sure maybe Sami Zayn will go to TNA? Hell, Rusev should go to TNA. Or Sheamus should go over to TNA. What about Tiffany Stratton? Or, well, of course, Naomi isn't there now, but she could have gone back to TNA if she wasn't pregnant right now. Would she? No. It's always going to be the same thing. TNA will be here, and Silver Lake WWE is going to be here, and AEW's here. Well, technically, I should fix that. You got AEW here, you got TNA here. They're just like this. And then there's Silver Lake. You got 1, 2, and 3. And they only bring up TNA just enough to fuck with AEW. And it's obvious they're doing it. WrestlePalooza is a prime example of that. It's not just because there was a collaboration. Well, basically, WWE is now working ESPN, of course. They're going to make good money. But to do what they did, they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to have it on that day. They could have had it Sunday. They just chose to. The WrestlePalooza wasn't a great show. It was nice, but it was predictable. They didn't even put a real effort in. Yes, I did see Raw, and it was a better show than WrestlePalooza, but this was WrestlePalooza, this was Raw. Let's make it clear. WrestlePalooza's here. This is Raw. That's where it's really good. You guys, comment below. Peace.